All right, we're ready to get started. Pastor Dwayne Stroud with Emmanuel will lead us in our invocation.
God, thank you so much for your love for us. God, I thank you for the privilege we have to impact the lives of our children in Enid. And God, I pray for the board this evening, God, that you would give them wisdom and discernment as they make decisions that are so important. God, we love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Call the meeting to order with a roll call. All members are present, excluding the Matts, Matt Lohman and Matt Sampson. Okay, join me in a flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That takes us to item number 2, audience to visitors. There is none this evening. Takes us straight to number 3, superintendent's report. Dudley?
Okay, got several things I want to share with you guys tonight. The first thing, all of these, majority of these items are on a symbol under an attachment if you'd like to view them at any time. But the first thing up is item A, and that is our strategic plan, or CSI, Continuous Strategic Plan. And this is something that the executive leadership team and I have talked about all year long, and something we would definitely seek your approval for. I think it's been 10 years since we've actually done a strategic plan, and as we continue going forward and we want to hear from the community, we want to hear from the staff, and this is a great opportunity to do that. And again, I kind of go back to where I started, that CSI, Continuous Strategic Improvement, and that's truly our intentions here. So what I'd like to do is seek your approval tonight and get the process started July 1.
Move we approve.
Okay, Tori with the motion.
I'll second.
Continuous with the second. Is there any discussion? No discussion, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood? Randy Long?
Yes.
Continuous?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes.
Well, thank you for that. Perfect. Keep moving on then. Let's go to item B, legislative update. Just some things that are on our radar. First of all, the legislative session was great for us financially. The legislation pumped in $25 million into the general fund, which is Dr. Robinson was smiling, I know, because obviously it's going to definitely impact us as we go forward. There are 2 other things I want to put on everyone's radar. Number one, there's several laws and rules that we have to get implemented, and we're currently in that process right now. So we're working towards implementing several of them, and again, that's an attachment there. And the next thing is graduation requirements, and Dr. Rhodes has already started working with her team on getting those implemented. But I just want to tell you that all the graduation requirements will not be for current high school students. It'll just start with the current 8th graders. So essentially, we have a full year to get everything implemented. But a few new rules, we'll get them fully adjusted. And again, very appreciate greatly the additional money to the system. So, any questions there? Okay, well, we'll keep moving. Let's go to item C. Item C is definitely an interesting item, and I'd like to have Dr. Robinson and Mr. Rader speak on this if you guys don't mind. When Dr. Rhodes and I were at COSA last week, we got an urgent phone call from RFR, our school attorneys, and they said that we had to have this capacity policy in place by July 1st. So it was either work it into this agenda or come back and have a special agenda. So obviously we had time where Veronica made a tweak and we got it added here. But essentially what we need to do is we need to adopt this capacity policy, and then we also need to approve our capacity numbers. And we're recommending no change on the capacity numbers, keep those the same. And the policy will actually be for incoming students, inter-district students. So Randy, you want to add anything that I might have forgotten?
Yeah, so y'all are aware that every few months we have to do out-of-district transfer capacity numbers. The new law has will have us do the same type of thing for intra-district transfers. A little bit gray area on exactly what we have to do, but we do know by July 1st we have to have wording in our policy stating that we will address that, and then we'll be coming back in July after we have a chance to kind of look a little bit closer at the law for what the intra-district transfer capacity numbers will be. So basically, just like you see the out-of-district transfer capacity numbers in the policy, you will see that in our policy and on our website, so people kind of know what we are willing to accept at every school. So, but again, we've got to kind of look at that and see what that exactly, how that affects us. But we'll have that. That's what we'll be working on. One of the things we'll be working on for the next month. So we will get that done.
Dr. Robbins, anything else? Yeah. So I'm sorry, I do apologize. This kind of got thrown on all of us late minute here, but I definitely seek your approval. And it's just as Mr. Rader said, we'll bring this back in July, and we had time to dig into it and make any proper adjustments.
Okay, do I have a motion for item C?
Move we,
Okay, Randy with the motion,
second.
Tori with the second. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes.
Well, thank you all. And again, I do apologize for it being late notice, and I'm just glad we were able to get it on this agenda and not have to have a special meeting just for that policy. So thank you for that, and we'll get to work on it. It's like Mr. Rader said. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, and I'd ask Dr. Rhodes and Mr. Rader to speak also, but back on June 5th, we had our site academic plans, and all of our principals came in and shared their academic plans for the year. And I want to say it publicly, I was just totally impressed with how proud of the effort of the body of work we put in this year with our principals and our teachers and our counselors, instructional coaches. Every school site came in and shared their goals, trying to reach the 10% growth in reading, also attendance. Mr. Long was there. It was just a great, again, I just say proud is kind of how I feel. Randy, Angela, you want to chime in as well?
What Dr. Darrow said is true. Our principals and our teachers worked extremely hard this year. Dr. Darrow set the 10% reading goal, which I think all of our principals adapted that to math as well. We didn't hit it in every area, but we came very close. And if you know anything about growing students academically, 10% is a pretty good stretch for a year. So we feel like we'll see that whenever we get our state testing results back. But lots of growth across the district in the ways that we assess kids through our own plans through iStation and even on what we got back immediately through the third grade, at least, reading RSA plans and stuff like that. So very proud of all of our principals and our teachers. We know they worked extremely hard.
I agree. I feel like, too, that our principals owned their data and were really honest with themselves and being reflective, and have already started about how they're going to make some changes moving forward that will be positive and productive for teachers, students, and parents.
For every school principal to come in and go over their data and own their data and take the time to dig into it, it was really good. Mr. Long, I think you enjoyed being there that day as well.
I really did. One of the things that was really noteworthy to me is they've got a lot of reasons to have given excuses or to said, here's why we didn't. I didn't hear that once. I heard, here's what we're dealing with, here's what we've accomplished. When they didn't make it, here's what we want to do, and we're going to do it. And that was, overall to me, the positivity was really impressive.
It was a great team day. So I just wanted to brag publicly about our staff, our principals, and all of our teachers across the board. Next item's item E. I don't have an update for you yet. Eisenhower proposal, no news yet. Just want to let you know that proposal was sent on May 28th. I have not received any feedback yet from the Department of Defense. They wanted to know about some transfers. There were students that were transferring into Eisenhower, students that were transferring out. They also wanted to talk to us about some lunchroom preparation equipment, some storm shelter facilities there on base. So again, I haven't heard anything back yet. Kind of not surprised, but I know that we're all chomping at the bit, and as soon as I hear something, I will definitely let you know. But no news to share there yet. And that takes me to item F. Got some good news here. This is with our bond issue. The good news is that money's going to be in our bank on the 20th is what we're anticipating. So we're going to get that money in, and that money's already spent, right, Dr. Robinson? So we need that money to get here, but no. We've got a good plan in place. We've got the iPads and the Chromebooks ready to distribute in August. We've got 2 yellow buses that have been ordered with that $300,000, and we're actually looking at spending some more money for our white fleet. Rick Moulton's looking for 2 vehicles that would help our white fleet. That would empty us out on all of our transportation money that we had to have. And then last month I talked to you about the security cameras and expansion specifically with exteriors. So that money's already accounted for as well. So the money's going to hit the bank this week, and it's going to go right out just as quickly as possible. But we're trying to be good stewards, and so appreciate the community for stepping up and supporting that. Okay, I'll keep moving forward here. Item G, discussion of our VOAG program. We had a VOAG meeting on May 29th. Jay Bowers is here this evening. Jay was actually there in attendance. Appreciate you coming. We, again, had a good conversation with Mr. Hager. Mr. Hager's continued to meet several members of the community, and there's so many people that are wanting this VOAG program to be successful. I do have some really good news I want to share about this, which spurs back from this committee, but the Bank of Alva State Bank, and the Wisdom family, and I'd like to credit also Brad Beckman for being the leader on this, because Brad's been coming to our meetings, but Brad worked with the Wisdom family, and we're actually getting $25,000 donated tomorrow to buy a new trailer for our VOAG program. So pretty awesome. Yeah, we're gonna get Miranda to go take some pictures tomorrow. But $25,000 for a new trailer. Mr. Hager wanted a low-profile trailer, something that he could haul goats and sheep, and so it'd be pretty exciting. And I'll definitely continue to share more about that. But we've got one more meeting scheduled for July 30th, and again, everything's trending in the right direction. Really excited to get him full time here. Okay, that takes me to item H, and Dr. Rhodes, I'm going to turn this over to you. We've got, everybody has some information. The first one up, a lot of handbooks tonight that we need to address, and the first one is discussions made to the EHS handbook, item H, and again, you should have a handout in front of you.
I'm open for questions. I mean, there's quite a bit here, and looking through it, you're going to say, well, that's page 73. Well, it's all been reformatted. And so as soon as it's approved tonight, you'll get the new formatting. And because what we're working on as well is we have a registration guide, and then we have this handbook. And so my goal is that all the registration guides, which is really about the academic pieces, are also in the handbook. And then the registration guide then just becomes like a course catalog of all the offerings. And so that's going to be a year-long work in progress, but we have moved a few things over. But as far as any definite changes besides the reformatting, making sure it's all formatted the same, looks the same, that's why the pages look like, oh my gosh, we went from 20-some pages to now 70, so that everything's in the same font. And we've updated all of, the dates of the calendar, it's the attendance code, and just cleaned up some language and clarifications on certain protocols within. Updated the attendance policy with chronic absenteeism, because what was happening was our students, they were playing a game, and kids are smart because they're always trying to outplay that game. And so, the middle school and high school all are like offering like attendance makeup days, like a Friday school or Saturday school, especially toward the end of that semester. Well, kids would then use that to get caught up instead of being in class, getting the education that they're there for. And so they decided to look at that and take out that no attendance makeup, because kids need to be in school daily and not playing the game without a medical note or whatever that gives them that excuse to be gone just to make up a day to get the credit back. So that one we did change that. And then we revised our tardy policy. Because what was happening was the kids knew they can have so many tardies equals an absence, but there was really never a consequence for the tardy. So the first 3 are on the teacher. You know, if they're late to that teacher's class, the teacher needs to be talking to the student, but by the 3rd one, making that phone call home to the parent. Like, your kid's been tardied in my class 3 times. And then after that, then it becomes a disciplinary thing, because if they're not in class, they're not learning. And if they're not in class within 5 to 10 minutes, they're definitely not learning. And where are they? Because then again, it becomes another safety issue. Why are you not in class? Where are you hiding out? Or have you left campus completely? So just putting a little bit more teeth into some of this per se. And then just updated just some general things as we are working with Power School and some things that we need in our information system to help make sure that everything runs a little bit smoother.
Can you walk me through, continuing the discussion we had before the board meeting, student refuses to comply with a search, nothing's found, what happens at that point?
Student doesn't comply with a search. Okay, well, if that's defiance, then there would be some sort of discipline. So if you have nothing to hide, then you should be able to say, here it is. Again, they're not going to go looking for something unless something's been brought to their attention to look at something specific, because they don't have time to go do backpack checks. So if something's been brought to their attention that is concerning, they usually go pull the student out of class, bring them down to the office and say, hey, you know, you have something in your backpack that you're not supposed to have. We've got a report of XYZ. And if they say, yes, sometimes they will say yes. If they say no, and they're like, can we look? 9 times out of 10, they get to look. If they don't, then that means, okay, what else is in there that I'm not supposed to find? So that's where we are on that. So it is defiance if they have been asked to look.
Since you guys are wanting to call it a possession offense, does that, my major concern is if a student transfers, does that go with them? Does that follow? If they didn't actually possess anything, but since they refuse to let you look and you put offense on a permanent record, does it follow them? Or would it not be better to change this to an actual defiance verbiage rather than a possession offense, especially if nothing's found?
Yeah, they can fix that. I mean, they would just put refusal to comply.
So would it not be better to have it good from the get-go? Because you're calling it a possession offense before there's actually possession confirmed. It's a suspicion, I get that, but that's my only question, is whether or not this should be updated as well.
You would like for us to change the verbiage?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like it to be?
Call it defiance, call it disrespect, call it disrespect for authority, whatever you choose to put the verbiage, but possession seems to be a little bit extreme, especially if it's not been proven yet.
Go ahead and feel free to jump in.
I
guess I'm a little
I
lost.
might be speaking out of turn, but I'm going to say this as a former principal. If I know in the handbook that it says if I refuse a search that I only get a, what'd you call it, refusal, defiance, and I have marijuana in that bag, I'm never letting you search it, and I'm going to get my defiance right up, and I'm going to walk away with my marijuana in my bag still.
That's not what I'm saying at all. You're saying that the defiance is going to be treated and called possession. That's what this verbiage states. So you go ahead and do the searches you're legally entitled to do, but there's no...
You might want to clear, the question was if nothing is found.
There's nothing is
Because I'm
found.
thinking,
What I want one of two things, either to bring it down and change the verbiage, or add verbiage to it that states that if nothing is found, then they will just simply be charged, I guess that's not correct, but they'll be disciplined for...
so you want, okay, because so if nothing's found, nothing happens. However, if they're, and we're going to look regardless.
What's the punishment difference? Because it says that they'll be treated as a possession. This is where my problem's coming in.
Okay.
It says they'll be treated as a possession offense.
Okay.
And nothing is found. Are they going to still be punished at the same level of possession offense because that's what the policy states? Or are they going to be punished for disrespect of a teacher or administrator?
I have a thought.
They can't keep us from looking in it, but if they are defiant to the point that it requires us to take further action, they will be punished. But if a kid is saying you can't look in the bag, and we can, and we find something, then it will proceed. If we don't find something, then the question then becomes between that principal and student, why were you so defiant? Because here's the deal, I don't know that sometimes a kid might be defiant because they're just having a bad day. But again, I want to leave that at the principal's discretion, because maybe after they have a conversation and the kid was like, well, I had this, I have this, and this is going on, and that was just the moment that you broke, everything went bad. A principal may not give them anything at that point because they didn't have anything, but the kid was already on defense for something else. So I don't want to say, okay, the kid is just 100% non-compliant, but once that principal's worked with that kid and knows that kid better, the principal may not give anything, or he or she may give something because of the non-compliance. I think we don't need to make it so stringent that it holds them all 100% accountable, but I agree with Dr. Robinson. We're going to look in it anyway, and so if there's something in there, we're going to take that punishment and not add to it. But if there's not anything in there, I do think at one point the principal gets to make that determination of how defiant was the kid. Does it meet the criteria for a punishment, or okay, you're having a really bad day and I know XYZ now that's going on because we're working through some things, and he decides to let it go.
No, that was it. And I'm following along with that. I understand. I see the steps it's offering to those on site that are dealing with the situation.
Yeah, it's not always A to Z. And principals are working hard to know their kids and build those relationships and know the backgrounds and things. But at some point, a weapon's a weapon. Drugs is drugs, whatever. But if it is a cigarette lighter, which I don't even think they have those anymore because we vape, but let's just say it was, that might be different than over here. So to say that we still have to give them some discretion.
Possession would be based upon what they're searching.
Exactly.
So if the intent of the search is to find a lighter,
Yeah.
then the possession offense would be for that of the lighter. Possession intent is drugs or weapon, then they refuse it, then it would be for that.
Okay, that's maybe where I interpret it correctly, because to me, when I hear possession, it goes higher than a lighter, it goes drugs is what comes to mind first and foremost, especially in high school. So, okay, I can go with that.
Well, possession would cover any contraband, anything that they're not supposed to have at school. But to Joe's point, so they get permission, you search, you're going to search anyway, but you search, you find nothing. They don't get a possession offense, they don't get a defiance penalty.
Nothing. There's nothing.
But if they say no, they get a defiance penalty, even if they don't find anything. And I think that's what he's saying, is the wording here, although this is just a bullet point, is the punishment the same for possession offense? Is that equal to the punishment for defiance offense?
Okay.
I think that's what the question is, that he didn't want to roll it out to another school. They've got a possession offense, although there was nothing found, but they were defiant.
So it's not written up until there's actual discipline being handed down. So if it's just, they got a report of this and they're looking, they may put it in a log entry that there was suspicion, it was looked, nothing was found. That doesn't go on to another one. Only when it's put in as an incident into our system with discipline that's when that is moved on to another school. So.
And I think, Reverend Blackwood, what you're saying, no, we would never send false records. So like if we thought that, like.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not,
No, we would never say.
We're good there.
Okay.
Colonel Little does have a suggestion.
So I realize I'm not a voting member, but may I? So I hear what you're saying 100%, but I also understand what you're saying. So I just jotted down a note again, just to consider. I think maybe the word will perhaps could be may, as opposed will be implies must every single time. May, there's your wiggle room, right, that you had talked about, ma'am. And then I wrote down a sentence I said right underneath that, defiance and or refusal to allow search may be treated as a possession offense and punished accordingly. And so then the whole punished accordingly is obviously opens up that aperture for principals, et cetera. So I'll leave it there, but thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thanks.
I think that was your intent, wasn't it?
Yes. And again, these are bullet points, so it may already be worded certain ways in there, but I will for sure check on how they've actually worded it, and then I will get that back to you and make sure that we have that statement.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
So item H, and then we'll approve it as amended or as suggested? Is that what our, I guess somebody make a
I move
motion.
the approval as it is, with understanding they're gonna look at that.
Second.
Randy made the motion, Tori seconded. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood?
Actually, I apologize if I have one other item that I need to talk about.
No, you're fine.
I was looking for the
So we have a motion and a second, but we've had a discussion, yeah. And then we can amend the motion if we need to.
I apologize, can you just amend it as an error?
You're fine.
Because it would, so I was looking over, I had not had a copy of the school ID policy before I got here.
I had the bullet points, but my question is, I'm seeing some changes in the handbook and here, and did not have a chance.
Are you looking at Enid Highs right now, or have you moved on to middle school?
No, we're still on the high school, but my question as far as the high school goes, we're adjusting, and the students are charged $1 for each temporary ID. My question is, I was under the impression that the ID policy was being basically copied and pasted from high school to middle school, but it seems to be much different. My question is, have we revoked the 3 times and an automatic reprint of the ID? Because that's...
No, we have not. We're adding to it, but I want you to know that I know you had concerns last year, and last year was our first time to implement the ID badge policy, which again is about safety and security measures. We had 128 fines given out this year for $640. But remember, 99 of those were one-time students, and the others were 2 or 3 time recurring students. So out of 2,100 plus kids, like 5% of our kids received a fine, and I think that's a huge win for Enid High. So not every time they didn't have an ID, they were given a new one. I mean, we knew it was going to be new. We knew we were going to have some things, but it became a ritual to wear every single day, and they got reminded multiple times. They only started receiving fines when they were refused to wear it, or they flat said, I can't find it, it's lost. And they'd already been given 2 or 3. So then they had to start paying for them. Because the badge is just like an ID, just like a book. It's still school issued property. And so the high school ate a lot of that incurred cost because it was about student safety and making sure kids are wearing it. Because it's also tied to scanning for the library, scanning for lunches, and all of that. So I think that's a huge win. So now that we're moving on and kids are, we're winning the game. When I'm up there, I maybe see 10 kids without an ID or they're getting a sticker. But then that became too easy because, again, it's a game. So now it will be that they will get charged $1 for a temporary ID. And that's the sticker charge that we're constantly having to reoccur cost because they would not, it was easier just to do that than to find their ID. But I can also tell you that there were several students that were like, okay, I can't keep up with this ID. So they would leave it in the principal's office on the, the little binder, some of them, or some of them would leave them with their counselor. So there are avenues for them to do that. But again, we're winning the battle.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay, any more discussion for item H? Okay, seeing none, we will vote. Joe Blackwood? Randy Long?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes.
Okay, the next one is registration guide, high school. Dr. Rhodes?
So the high school, again, we'll be working on, maybe next year you'll have one nice big binder instead of multiples, but again, we updated the bell schedule, the department PLC meetings, the calendar, and then we've added the course information for ag mechanics, horticulture, welding, and FFA.
Pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Okay. So a motion for item I?
Move we approve.
Tori with the motion. Second with Kim Tinius. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood?
Yes.
Randy Long?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes. Jay?
All right, now we're going down to middle school, and just a couple bullets there with Dr. Rhodes.
Okay, so here we're updating the table of contents, the attendance code explanation chart, and 2024-25 throughout, and update names of administrators and positions. And then we are adding the new ID badge policy for the middle schools. And as you can see, again, the general requirements for all students and why we're doing this, and then specific requirements by grade level. So 8th graders will be required to wear theirs with a lanyard provided by the school. And 6th and 7th graders, theirs will be attached to their Chromebook because they have Chromebook checks. But again, we know we got to start small and work our way up. And again, it's about trying to get them ready to move to the high school so that that's already there. Again, it's still safety and security, about 6, 7, and 8. So with the middle school principals, they know that will also be a challenge to some. But the thing of it is, again, it's not about punishing kids right away. It's about teaching them responsibility, accountability, and keeping everyone safe. And so one of the things for them is to get into their dances, to get into our athletic events. They're going to need to provide that badge. And that also helps us even when at our football games, when the middle school kids are all there and we're trying to have them corralled up there in this. My principals from all 3 sites don't know every single kid at the other 3 buildings. So having that badge again will say, okay, well, you're at Longfellow. I'm going to let Mr. Mitchell deal with this on Monday or whatever. So again, it's trying to get some consistency all the way through.
I'll make a motion for item J to approve.
Tori with the motion. Do I have Randy Long with the second? Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we will vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long? Yes. Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes. Okay.
Okay, now we're down to middle school registration guide. A few bullets there.
Again, update everything to 24 to 25, administrators and positions, the table of contents, and eliminate pre-algebra and algebra 1 from 6th and 7th grade, and eliminate 8th grade geometry, but add aviation 1 course content. And again, this will go in line with what we're having to do with graduation requirements that are coming out for the next school year, starting with this year's 8th grade. So we are just trying to get a step ahead.
I make a motion.
Okay. Kim with the motion for item K. Have a second? Joe? Joe Blackwood with the second. Is there any discussion? Okay, we will vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes. Item L.
All right, perfect. Item L is the elementary handbook, Mr. Rader.
All right, I'll run through this really quickly. Basically, on the tardy policy, we removed that there would be disciplinary action. We don't do that. Elementary kids don't get themselves to school generally, and we can't punish parents. So we basically are just we just welcome kids in when they get there and move them to class and do the best we can. But we also highly encourage parents to get their children to school on time because for most of the classes, reading instruction happens first thing in the morning. Dress code, again, basically at the elementary level is about just removing some things that we're not doing anyway. We don't ask kids to give us clothing. We're not trying to send that to the principal. We're not trying to take things from kids, but if they are wearing anything that's inappropriate, we're going to ask them to remove it. And then, of course, if they don't, it'll fall into the defiance and into our discipline policy. So, again, it's just about removing some things that we're not doing anyway. On the honor roll, basically, we're just updating that language. English language arts incorporates language, spelling, reading, so we're calling it what it is, English language arts. And then, of course, foreign language and visual arts don't play into the honor roll piece, so we're removing that and just incorporating the pieces that do. Volunteering at school, we just simply added the fact that volunteers must pass a background check through the school, and they can get those forms from the school office. Again, just incorporating what we actually do versus how it was written. Human growth and development, we teach this in 5th grade. Parents have the opportunity to opt out on this. Principals wanted to have the conversation about adding some of this in 4th grade. Students seem to be getting more mature at a younger age, and so our principals want the option to provide some of the personal hygiene aspects. And so we see a lot of times in 4th grade in the springtime, it might be time to talk to kids about some of that personal hygiene. And so, again, that will be at the discretion of the principals and the counselors. They'll talk to the school nurse and find out. And, of course, all of this is communicated to parents before it's ever done. But, again, we do know that some of our students need that, and we think that that would be beneficial to at least have that option. We'll continue the growth and development piece in 5th grade because we think that's an appropriate place for that, and we've done that for years and years at that level. The discipline policy, for many years, and I'm not sure why we've done this, but it jumped out at me last year. We actually stated the state law versus the district policy, but we called it the district policy. So we've removed the state law and put in what our actual district policy is. And then with the students of pattern of intentional violent behavior, last year we had steps listed out on what the consequences would be. And in talking to our school attorney and attending a couple different handbook workshops, they said, don't be that stringent with the exact steps, because really the example the attorney gave is, if you had a kid that really hurt another student or an adult on step 3, but you said you were only going to suspend them for 5 to 10 days, that really limits you when that actually might warrant something more strenuous of a discipline. So basically, under the advisement of school attorney, it says replace the steps with the statement, students that exhibit those intentional violent acts directed at others will be dealt with aggressively under the student discipline policy. Basically, it's just enforcing what we already have in policy and state law, but just worded a little bit differently. So any questions on that?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the dress code,
Yes.
it says hats, scarves, bandanas, sunglasses. If a student comes in and they have something that's medically necessary where they have to wear the hat or scarf, is that permitted?
Absolutely.
Is that written in the handbook somewhere?
It's not written in the handbook, but we're
just asking.
going to err on the side of what
Okay,
kids
gotcha.
need.
fall
And
under like an IEP.
It would, or if, I mean,
Okay.
many times at the elementary level, you just know that sort of thing, and you're gonna deal with it. This is really kids that are being defiant and
Yep.
just trying to kind of throw it in your face a little bit, I guess. We want to work with students.
I would make a motion to approve item L.
Okay. Tori with the motion, Joe Blackwood with the second. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long? Yes. Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes.
Okay, that takes care of all the handbooks. Now let's go to student activity handbook. I don't think we've ever officially adopted this, Dr. Robinson, but turn it over to you.
No, this is really just putting everything we have in policy and procedures into one manual, really just for easy use with all of our activity sponsors or coaches, anybody that might actually be raising funds, participating in raising funds, helping students raise funds. They have a one-stop shop is really what they have. And it ties back to all of our policies. It's nothing new, but the whole thing itself is new being combined. So I don't know what else to say about it other than
Well, it's a good foundation for
Yeah.
anybody that's over an activity account, like, hey, how to do your proper fundraising,
That's right.
et cetera.
Before we kind of had like a handout sheet you would get, and then we would reference board policies to you, so you kind of had to do your own homework if you really wanted to dig into it. This way, it's really in your hand and available if you have any questions. It's, like I said, one-stop shop to get all the answers you need.
That's awesome.
Make a motion, we approve it as provided, written.
I second.
Okay, Joe with the motion, Kim Tinius with the second. Any discussion? Let's vote. Joe Blackwood?
Yes.
Randy Long? Yes. Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes.
Okay, the last handbook for adoption tonight, it was a couple changes in the athletic handbook. Mr. Mansfield, I'll speak for you, but you might want to head up this way. He wants to update some grammar, obviously always a good thing. Update the character definition. Also, all fundraisers need to be board approved. And then we talk about Rule 24, which is coaches and players linked. Any other points you want to address, Mr. Mansfield, or have any questions for Mr. Mansfield?
Questions? Okay. Seeing no questions? I have a motion for,
I will make a motion.
sorry.
We all know he loves to talk, so.
All right, who had the motion?
I made the motion.
Tori made the motion. Second?
Second, yeah.
Joe Blackwood. All right, is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. Joe Blackwood?
Yes.
Randy Long? Yes. Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. Oh,
Okay, last item for me, and it definitely involves Mr. Mansfield again, but just want to remind everybody that we have the OSSA Dead Week coming up June 29th through Sunday, July 7th, and that essentially means no practices, no games, no weight room, no coaches with kids up in the buildings, or that could put us in OSSA compromising situation. And as I've told you guys, I start the OSSA board in August, and I don't want to get us in trouble. So it honestly is probably the best thing OSSA has done in many years. It's a nice break for the families and the kids and the coaches. So just want to remind everybody of that. And that concludes my portion.
all right, that takes us to item 4, regular business. Discussion and possible action to approve the following consent agenda items. We can take item 1 through 11. Do I have a motion?
Move we approve.
Tori gives us a motion. Second, Joe Blackwood. Any discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long? Yes. Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. All right, item B, discussion and possible action to approve FMFE Spectator Code of Conduct.
Yeah, I want to bring this to everyone's attention. I put a stapled paper there at your area. The top copy is the OSSBA Spectator of Code Athletics Program. And this is something that we all feel pretty confident about that we need to adopt this policy. It was recommended by OSSBA, but, being an administrator has had to deal with some spectators, parents that are disgruntled, and you've had to ask them to leave or settle down or X, Y, and Z. It's always nice to have a board policy that'll back you up whenever you're trying to do this. So the top copy was given from OSSBA. Reverend Blackwood has taken it, and the second page is his suggestions. It's really you all's decision. I would just like to get this policy in place, and I know the high school administrators would feel this way. I know Mr. Mansfield as well. It just gives us a backbone to enforce the policy. So I seek your approval on one or the other.
Okay, so one of the two. Do we have a motion from anyone?
I will make
Or is there any
a,
more discussion?
I'm gonna make a motion. I want to make a motion to approve the one presented to us from OSSBA that
Okay.
falls in line with the rest of our policies.
Okay, so I have a motion from Tori and a second from Randy. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will vote. Joe Blackwood?
No.
Okay. Joe with a no. Randy Long?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes. Okay. Move to item C, discussion and possible action to approve the district financial report for May 2024. That's you, Sam?
Once again, the finance report, it's not good, it's actually great, so I'm just going to say it now that we're in June. Yeah. But we're in really good financial position. Collections we're still collecting funds. We're not expending as many funds. I will say this on the encumbrance report. Maybe I should have spoke up before you guys actually approved it, but you actually just approved to pay off the lease on our 2 activity buses. I know you guys saw that on the encumbrances, but that's the financial position we're in, that it's so good that instead of waiting 2 years and paying those off, let's pay that $400,000 off this year. We know we're going to be $5 million short on funding next year because of ESSER funds running out. So let's take advantage of the funds we have now and not worry about that expenditure down the road. Again, I think fund balance is going to grow somewhat this year, and I know that's not reflected in this finance report because it's only through May 31st, but my projection is that it's going to grow, and it's going to grow because of ESSER funds. It's nothing else other than that. So really the most of the encumbrances, most of the expenditures we have for this past month are really things to take care of things in our schools. We're doing over $100,000 worth of painting this summer, and that's a lot of paint. We're doing a lot of tile and carpet work this summer. So when you saw those encumbrances, that's the reason those are on there. We kind of held off to see where things ended up. They ended up in position to really take care of those things and have some good things for kids when they come back to school next year and take care of our buildings. So again, finances are in good shape. I'm excited about July to get here, really, truly. I know nobody else probably is, but I am, because we get to close out the books financially, start a new fiscal year. So everything's good. Just need a motion to approve. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Sam, not to rain on your parade, but the only negative that you've mentioned in recent history is the downturn in the gross production tax. Does that continue to be the trend?
We're probably going to come up about $400,000 short in gross production. There is potential that we could get a check, so to speak, dropped on us this month. Sometimes that has happened in the past. For instance, I'll tell you that motor vehicle was down. It had been down. I felt like we're going to get our target. We actually over-collected in motor vehicles. So thank you, Garfield County, for going out and buying vehicles. It's helped out our school district. But there's a possibility we may not be down, but I'm projecting about $400,000 in that. But we've made that revenue up in several other areas. Very thankful for that. And so gross production, of course, will be done next year. It's a chargeable, which means our state aid could tick up just a little bit. But if gross production's down across the whole state, state aid could get spread out just a little bit thinner. It's really an unknown at this particular time. But again, we're in good financial shape. I'm really not too worried about gross production at this point in time.
Thanks for that explanation. Okay. We have a motion with Randy Long and a second from Joe Blackwood. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood?
Yes.
Randy Long?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes. Takes us to D, discussion and possible action to approve Resolution 679, Oklahoma School Insurance Group for fiscal year 25 liability and peril coverage.
So you guys have a really big handout there, and if you ask me too many tough questions about liability insurance, Jay Bowers is here and he'll try to answer those for you. But I'm hoping my handout kind of covers it. I truly believe we all have options in the insurance world. The one significant change to insurance this year is our primary deductible. And I'm going to kind of give you an example when primary deductible kicks in. If you remember last year, we had the playground equipment that caught on fire. At that point in time, we had a $50,000 deductible. That deductible is now going to $100,000. There's no reducing it back to $50,000. It's locked in there. So if we have something happen, we're going to be on the hook for $100,000 of expenditure. The other deductible that we ought to talk about is wind and hail. We moved that to $1 million last year. Saw some fiscal savings by doing that. This year, we're not going to save any money, but we are going to increase insurance only by $15,604. I want you to remember we've added some vehicles, we've added some space just by doing some different things with spaces. We have more to cover in the big scheme of things. One of the big examples is Jane's building. That was a shell of a building before. Insurance value was different on it. Now it has batting cages and all those things. Same thing as softball. We now have to pay for that coverage, so to speak. So I do have an option here that if we do want to talk about a $500,000 deductible, that's going to cost us another $141,000 on top of our premium of $795,000. So it's my recommendation we keep our wind hail at $1 million. We have to absorb that primary deductible at $100,000, and we'll write a check to OSIG for $795,859. So when I talk about good financial position, it's kind of like those bond funds. A lot of our good financial position is already being spent on stuff for next year because we are all, not only personally as a school district, feeling the increase of doing business, and this is just part of it. So. We weathered it, so to speak. I think really and truly that our roof coating system that we put on in 2020, it added a layer of hail protection, gave us some bounce, so to speak, and that bounce is what made things work. The school that reported to us what they thought might have some damage on it was Longfellow, their gym. Actually, it shook the dust off the rafters in their gym, and there were these perfect dust lines across the gym floor. We had that roof checked out. There was no hail damage on top of it. There weren't even any units dented on top of that roof. Like I said, we weathered it really well. Yes, so the vehicle side, we did file a vehicle hail damage report. We have vehicles that are parked out here. We have vehicles parked outside at maintenance. Those vehicles were estimated $109,000 in damage. We did claim that on our vehicles. We have a $1,000 deductible up to $25,000 on those vehicles. They've actually already cut us a check, and we already have those vehicles in for repair. We have some vehicles estimated repairs on them are as high as $5,000, and most of that's paintless, didn't repair, but it was significant enough. And the size of those vehicles, they have a lot of body on them to repair. So, but sorry, I kind of forgot about that because we kind of pushed forward on that. But thank you for reminding me. Again, OSIG insurance, I will say this, we could go outside of the program, but we're not going to find a better insurance than OSIG can provide to us, for sure.
Okay. Got Joe with motion.
Which option?
Excuse me.
Option 1 is my recommendation.
Yeah. Motion as suggested, option 1.
Second. Oh, or Kim can have it.
Second with Kim.
Yep, that's
Continues.
fine.
Give you credit. Okay, is there any discussion?
No.
We'll vote. Joe Blackwood?
Yes.
Randy Long?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. Takes us to item E, discussion and possible action to approve deductible insurance with Messer Bauer Insurance for $500,000 deductible coverage costing $82,683.78.
So we bought a policy in this current fiscal year, very similar. I think it was about $80,000, so about a $2,000 increase on this. But I want you guys to think about what we're doing here. We're going to buy an insurance policy that's going to help pay half of that $1 million deductible for $80,000. if that hailstorm would have come through Enid and done significant damage to half of our schools, and then we knew we were in a weather pattern that 1 week later another hailstorm comes through, we could have been on the hook for $2 million. And so to buy a policy that helps us offset that cost, to me, is very advantageous, especially for this price. We are building up a good fund balance that maybe with some new legislation passed, we can offset that. But until that time really gets here, to me, this is a good approach to keep our overall policy coverage down, or cost of the coverage down, and to also provide policy coverage to us for that $1 million deductible should we ever need it.
Sam, explain, in your example, we had an event this week, and then 2 weeks later have another event, we're on the hook for $2 million. How does the $500,000
So we get paid once.
one time?
One time.
So then we'd be on
Yeah.
the hook for $1.5 million, not
right,
$2
Jay?
million.
It's a one-time coverage.
Deductible by now?
Yes.
On multiple occurrences, I believe so. But, yeah, the effect of it is we're essentially taking a $500,000 deductible. We're just getting to there for about half the money that OSIG can provide, that $500,000 deductible for. We're outside of OSIG to manage the wind hail deductible.
So it helps on the first and then second.
Take a bit more than the book for it, yeah. And our overall savings, we're generally saving about $60,000 by doing this versus doing a $500,000 deductible with OSIG. So.
Makes sense.
I have a question.
Okay.
Going backwards to option 1 and option 2, 15,000 is the increase for option 1. If you add in that 82, you're at 100,000 versus 40 more thousand of option 2, but you would always have the $500,000 deductible, right?
Yes.
So why does it make more sense to do the lower deductible and the extra?
Because you're seeing those savings immediately versus you're hedging that 41,000. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I gotcha.
We're
I
playing
gotcha.
the odds, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this to answer your question. If we weren't sitting on the fund balance we are, there's no way I would say let's do $1 million deductible. I'd say exactly what you are. It's worth spending that extra $41,000 to get to where we need to be.
That we're there, but
That's right.
I gotcha.
Not to
Okay.
jinx ourselves, but do you know how far back it's been since we had a significant claim where we were?
The roof repair we did in 2020 was a result of I believe a 2017 hailstorm. At that point in time, you could go back that far. You can only go back 12 months now on an insurance claim. So 2017 would be the last major roof claim we
So
had.
playing those odds has paid for itself.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's in our favor. And I'm gonna be honest. They didn't even want to give Jay a number on the $500,000 deductible. So that number, that's me begging for a number to give you guys another option. I don't know if it would really be 141. It might be more like 180. Is that right, Jay?
That's mostly true. They gave me that number based on the assumption that we weren't going to take it.
I believe in options, so I was like, hey, give me an option.
Which we know we're going to go down that road. We've got a better deal outside.
Well, I will make a motion to approve item E.
Thank you, Tori. Second, Randy Long. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long? Yes. Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. Takes us to item F, discussion and possible action to approve copier contract with RK Black utilizing, what is that?
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah. Cooperative contract for pricing and procurement purposes with lease payments being made to U.S. Bank for $165,747.60 annually for the 4-year duration of the lease.
Sorry for all that crazy language, but that's what they asked me to put in there for this. RK Black did for how we're doing this. So previously we were on the hook for $140,605 with RK Black. As with everything else, costs have gone up. We did look at cutting some copy machines. I believe we cut 2 across the district. We still had an increase. it was interesting conversations, to say the least. So it's hard to say we're in a really good financial position, but we're taking one of your copiers out of your building. So we didn't even really go there once we kind of started the conversations. We'll eat the $15,000 or $25,000 increase annually. But it's where we're at. And from my understanding, everybody is really happy with RK Black. It was almost, I didn't even want to bid it out because of how happy people are with it. I do have the other prices there in case you're interested, but RK Black did come in the lowest. They edged out ImageNet. But I truly believe when you have a good product that people are really happy with, copy machines keep teachers happy. Let's keep teachers happy so they keep students happy. It all kind of works together. So yearly maintenance costs, this is for 4 years, $165,747. We're looking at additional cost, which we're going to work on reducing those, because this is for things like colored copies, staples, all that stuff that kind of runs through a machine. So we're looking at a total annual of about $365,000. The only cost I can give you that's for sure is that $165,000. But I don't want to hide anything there. Almost, $350,000 plus on copier cost on an annual basis. So when we can eliminate some colors, we can save a little money. So I'm just saying that publicly because we're going to print a lot more black and white going forward. So any questions on that, I would definitely take them.
Any questions?
No, my church just switched over to.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve item F.
Okay. Tori with the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Kim Tinius with the second. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long? Yes. Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. All right, G, discussion and possible action to approve a contract with Henson Construction with a guaranteed maximum price of $1,169,646 for Phase 2 of the Enid High School Tennis Center to be executed by Chief Financial Officer Sam Robinson on July 1, 2024, using fiscal year 25 building funds.
So this is phase 2. Originally, we thought we were only going to have 2 phases, so I don't want anybody to be surprised when I say we need to do phase 3. Phase 2 will complete 2 more courts. It will complete a meeting and 2 changing rooms for both boys and girls, and covered seating, and the retaining wall for the what would be the 7th and 8th courts whenever we get to phase 3. So phase 3 will really and truly be pouring concrete for 2 additional courts and fencing going up. There will be some other work that has to be done, kind of alleyway. We'll have to address it along the way, but as far as large construction phases, this is 2 of 3, with 3 being the very smallest of it. When people walk out there, they're going to really see about an 80% completed tennis complex at that point in time. So we still have 1 house that we have to pick up. We're not rushing that by any means, and when that time gets here, then we'll finish the courts, phase 3, but we're going to have 6 really nice tennis courts. I have not had anybody say they're not happy with the 4 that we do have, and this is just going to add to it with the changing rooms. In fact, the changing rooms were an addition that was requested kind of late in the bid process. In fact, they weren't even part of the bid. We've added it since. Because the players said they need a place to change, and so we're going to make that happen for them. But again, this is a July 1. I actually have the contracts. We'll sign them July 1, get them turned over to Henson Construction and let them begin work. I do anticipate that this phase of the project will move much faster through the city processes and all of that than we did on phase 1. And I with all weather holding out like it should in the summertime, that hopefully by mid-fall they're complete and ready to go. So, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve item G.
Second.
Tori with the motion. Joe Blackwood with the second. Is there any discussion on item G? Seeing none, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood? Yes. Randy Long? Yes. Continuous?
Yes.
Tori Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes. Okay, that takes us to item 5, new business. Item 6, reports, items of information, board comments, and/or questions.
I don't, nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members? Okay. Move to item 7. Next regular meeting is Monday, July 15th, 6 p.m. in the Administrative Service Center. boardroom, 500 South Independence, right here. Item 8, discussion of possible action to approve proposed executive session, conference room 123, to discuss the employment of those individuals in the positions listed on the attached Exhibit A and Exhibit B. Possible purchase or appraisal of real property.
So moved.
Second.
Tori with the motion, Joe with the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Joe Blackwood?
Yes.
Frank Long?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Turnbow?
Yes.
Chad Mans? Yes. Executive session?
7:05.
Not terrible.
Mr. Mansfield.